County Industrial Development Corporation, October 8th meeting. Call this meeting to order. And we need approval of September 10th minute meeting.
Move it. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Kevin?
All right, so I'll read the September monthly report here first.
Sure, I have right here, because the timing of this board meeting was too quick for Greg and Kevin to get there.
Sorry.
No big problem.
But I'll read it to you anyway. So this is our September 1st to September 30th inspection report. We made 10 monthly site visits in September. We had 2 follow-up visits during this period. We checked residency with 451 workers. We had 2 issues with non-compliance. Both were out of area. And there was 1 new sign delivered that was to the St. John's Home for the Aging and SJH Community Services, Inc. So any questions on the inspection reports? Okay, so we also processed 3 waivers during the month of September. So the first one was for Jewish Home of Rochester Senior Housing, Inc. for Henderson Johnson, submitted under the no local labor available category. So this is a company based out of Syracuse, has to do with gypcrete floor leveling services. There's not a local company to do this kind of work. It's very common to see waivers for this that we've seen for commuter projects, MCIDC projects, not just in Monroe County, but in Genesee County and Seneca County, wherever we work with this. There's just only 2 contractors that really do that particular scope of work alone. In this case, they hired Henderson Johnson. Any questions on that one? The next waiver, also for a Jewish Home of Rochester Senior Housing, Inc., is for Pike Construction Services. This was submitted under the no local labor available. So Pike, which is a local company in Rochester, is performing the CMU, which is concrete masonry unit work, at the Jewish Home Project in Summit Circle in Rochester. They are also the GC on this project. They already had 5 local masons available to perform the work at its originally scheduled date, which was back in June. Due to project delays, the scope of work was pushed back to September, and those same workers are not available. Pike has worked with the trades to try to find local workers. However, none were available to meet the schedule, so the total amount of workers in this case is 5 that are going to be coming from Onondaga County. Any questions on that one? So then the final waiver I have is for Eugenio Maria de Hostos Charter School for AJ Glass, part of Local 667, for no local labor available. So AJ Glass Company, which is in Canandaigua, were hired to do the window and glass at the Eugenio project in Rochester. At the time the contract was signed, AJ had enough local workers to complete the project, but obviously there's been a boom in the construction industry in Western New York, and AJ could not supply local workforce, so the Glazers local number 667 provided a letter to verify that there was no labor available, and they had to pull from their sister union 660, which are all still within New York State, New York residents. So. Yes, yes there is, definitely. We're seeing that with the stadium project, with the Fairlake project, not to mention, I mean, within Monroe County alone, there's probably 45 different projects I'm monitoring. Now that the school work is all wrapped up, now that school's actually begun, it kind of frees up some more workers, but even so, they're stretched pretty thin, so we're seeing a lot of waivers come through from individual unions, reflecting a shortage in workforce.
Any more questions for Kevin? It's a good report. Thank you, Kevin.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
Okay. Greg?
Okay, financials through September 30th, 2025. Cash, approximately 1.5 million. About $1 million of that sits in a micro loan account for future loans. The remaining $500,000 sits in a checking account for money market accounts. In terms of our allotment for the month, received approximately $11,000 in principal and $3,300 in interest. micro loan, activity, for the month. We received $48,000 of principal in September and a little over $10,000 of interest. Year to date on the micro loan portfolio, received approximately $356,000 of principal on those loans and almost $73,000 of interest year to date on that current portfolio. All of our other, I would say, payables, liabilities are in line with our expectations and budgets. In terms of our revenue, again, tracking pretty well here. Certainly the 504, the bank interest, again, we certainly bank and investment interest really represents our investment portfolio. And again, that's greater than budget really just because the rates have not, I think, fallen down where we had thought or we had budgeted for last year. So we're starting to see that a little bit more. We'll take that into account for next year. But overall, like I said, I think you look at our revenue this year compared to our budget, you know, probably the strongest, one of the strongest years on record. You know, I know we have a couple of opportunities for some bond activity here over the next 3 months that, you know, may get us into one of the, you know, best years on record, I would say. So something to really be proud of with all the activity that's going on. Maybe there is a construction boom here that we're really talking about, but overall, like I said, I think revenue, you know, projected through the end of the year could be, you know, very, very strong and certainly anticipated well over budget. Expenses overall pretty much in line with what we had anticipated. There has been some more bad debt write-offs over the last 30 to 60 days, which, as we had talked about, we may see as the program, you know, programs like this, you know, get longer, you know, in the duration. Sometimes the applicants, the credit history gets a little bit less and less, and again, that's to be expected. So overall, like I said, through the 9 months, probably, like I said, the best year we've had on record, and anticipate a really strong last 3 months of the year based on what's in the pipeline in terms of some of the bond activity.
Any questions for Greg? Well, based upon his investments and stuff like that, it seems as though that we have too much money. We did have a discussion though, at the finance committee meeting, that we really need to assert ourselves and look at how do we get more money out of the door. We got a good problem. So we can blame it all on Greg. Any questions for Greg going forward?
So do we think the reserve we have on the microloans is sufficient?
Yeah, I do. You know, it's hard, right? I feel like it's just, it fluctuates, but yeah, I do think it's still, you know, based on the activity, we're starting to see a little kinks in the armor, but I still think the majority, we're getting timely, you know, most of them we're getting payments as scheduled. There's a couple of outliers, but nothing, you know, nothing significant from that, you know, outside of the reserve right now.
What do we charge again on the rate for microloans, just remind me?
4 for an MWBE or 5 for a non.
What do we charge on the RLF interest? Is it the same as the microloan? Do we keep it the same?
That depends on the project or the transaction, and it's up to the discretion of the loan
I think we
committee.
typically go by like the SBA, right, Tony?
Yeah,
They're all fixed
Yeah,
up?
there's flexibility.
The RLF has been fixed.
Yeah, microloans are.
We've been doing the last couple at 5. SBA's equipment loan rate right now is like 5.7.
We should have an advertisement saying we're giving out cheap loans.
Funny you should mention it. Yeah, we are advertising,
The microloan gets advertised pretty heavily.
yes.
That's good.
And as rates, if rates come down at the federal level, we can entertain discussions here at the board level around ratcheting down that microloan to continue to be favorable relative to prime.
It's very favorable now.
Yeah.
We're doing good. And that's the good news. No more questions for Greg? All right. So it looks as though we don't have to go into executive session.
Correct.
Let us move on to, the Strong Museum project. Barry?
Sure, this is a request from the Strong Museum to extend the maturity date of their bond by an additional 5 years. They're not seeking any additional funds, it's just a sort of document processing request because we need to amend the bond purchase and loan agreement. The bond is held by M&T, and they're just, again, kicking out the maturity date from 2028 to 2033.
Are they re-amortizing or like recasting the debt, or was it just a balloon that we're pushing out?
Balloon.
It's just interest only.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it was like pledges and other things that were coming in. Yeah, M&T's secure.
Why would it be in our interest to let this mature like that?
We would have no interest in, I guess, not entertaining this request. This is really a financial arrangement between M&T and Strong, something that they've agreed to on an arm's length basis. From our perspective, they just need our consent to amend any of the underlying debt documents since we are the issuer. So it's really just a in due course amendment. And we've done an amendment previously to amend the interest rate when they were going through the interest rate LIBOR remediation. So this is just another request.
Okay, so,
And we're not getting a fee.
There'll be a standard fee, but it will be like anywhere, yeah, $2,500.
We just won't do a new bond deal until 2033 probably, to roll over.
I mean, obviously it's all rate dependent, right? They have the right to refinance, we're just extending the maturity date. So depending on their capital needs and interest rates, they would have the ability to refinance if they wanted to.
And that $2,500 fee is, that's what we have as a policy.
Yes, it's part of the fee policy. I think the minimum fee is $1,500.
okay, so we have a motion to amend the bond purchase and loan agreement to extend the maturity date to 2018 series tax exempt bond for an additional 5 years for the Strong Museum project.
Make a motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstain?
I abstain.
Okay. All right, Monroe Sustainable Energy Partner LLC project.
Sure.
Barry?
So this is a request to approve a public hearing and to ask the county executive to sign the TEFRA approval. So Genesee County is leading a bond issuance to provide funding for energy improvements for Rochester Regional in 5 counties. Monroe, Genesee, Wayne, Ontario, and St. Lawrence. So Genesee County Funding Corporation is going to be the bond issuer of
Why is that?
What is it?
Why is that?
Well, that is a great question. From Rochester Regional's perspective, doing one transaction rather than 5, it's easier for them from a paperwork perspective, from a cost perspective.
Why would that be Monroe County?
So,
The bulk of all of it's in Monroe County.
Very good
110
question.
out of
We
150.
share your, we are similarly perplexed, however, as Barry will explain.
Yeah, so they have obviously
We got relatives in Genesee County.
they have a history of working with Genesee County. I think their last transaction that did not include Monroe, that included St. Lawrence and others, was through this issuer. There's also, I think, a preference from the Rochester Regional folks to use Harris Beach as their bond counsel. rather than Nixon. And so I think those two things together are why they chose Genesee. So we're not being the issuer, but the sort of understanding is that each of the counties will get their proportional fee for the amount spent within the county. So, right, so that was part of the agreement of us allowing another county to issue and spend money here, is that we'll get the fee on $110 million that's gonna be spent here.
At Genesee County.
Yeah, what's the rates?
At
Rate schedule.
at the rate that is Genesee County's agreed upon fee schedule, which is higher than Monroe's.
Wow.
So, so that's the,
Give us a ballpark of what we would get.
will be over $1.1 million.
Okay.
1.3?
And that's us just signing paper, right?
That's us agreeing to hold a public hearing and getting the county executive to sign. Should've led with that.
Yeah. Right.
I had to address Phil's question of why they didn't wanna go through us first,
So
before.
they're not gonna get anything on the 110? Genesee County's not gonna get anything on the 110?
No, they'll get it on their proportional share. If we go back in the Wayback Machine to 2020, Monroe County was the issuer, and there was a negotiated fee schedule, again, based on the amount of proceeds that were spent in each county. So this sort of,
Mirrors.
has been utilized before. Yeah.
Can you just, what is Monroe Sustainable Energy Partners LLC? It's from Arizona, or that?
Correct. That is basically a single-purpose entity created for this purpose, whose sole member is not-for-profit, also out of Arizona. That allows them to issue 501c3 bonds to finance these energy improvements. Long story short, they're gonna do the energy improvements at these Rochester regional facilities. The savings from these energy improvements will be used through an energy purchase and service agreement to pay this entity that will then pay debt service on the bonds. And then there's a guarantee from a parent company who's aligned with the LLC to basically guarantee that there will be a certain amount of savings to Rochester Regional. So it's intended to sort of be an off-balance sheet, but net zero, potentially favorable savings to Rochester Regional.
What's the parent company that's doing all this?
I don't have that at my fingertips.
We will bring more information, I think, to the board as the transaction continues to materialize. I think this, for purposes of today, was just a public hearing and to publish the notice, right, and seek the county executive signature.
Yeah, there's a, obviously we don't have the application because it was filed. I mean,
Right.
we do have the application, I do have it, but it was
I put it in
filed
here.
Genesee County, yeah. So maybe that is what the parent company is.
So we have a motion, that is gonna be on the table here.
Can I
And it's
just
to
ask one
approve
more
the
question
holding?
before you move?
Yeah.
So, if you look at this also, the hold harmless to Genesee doesn't apply to us.
Doesn't apply to us, but we're also not issuing any debt, and we're not signing any documents directly. So we have no obligations.
So the motion reads to approve, holding a public hearing for the project and requesting the county executive approval of, issuance of the bonds.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor? Any abstain? Alright. We met the financial committee, on October 2nd, and, we reviewed the proposed operating budget for 2026. The committee recommended that the full board approval of the budget as presented. I don't think that we need Greg to give a high-level overview unless you have questions on it. But we did have, the discussion that, we possibly need to, sort of huddle, and figure out, how do we get, more dollars out of the door. And we might suggest that, we either put a committee together, allow the executive committee to make some recommendations on that, along with the staff. And, we wanna do this, really right away. But, as I stated earlier, we're in a real good position, to make, maybe some impacts. So let us all, keep that in mind, but, we cannot, not need to, make a decision on how we spend some of this money.
An immediate action item for staff, is to connect with you, Penny, to have this discussion at a more granular, and we'll bring Greg into that conversation as well, in more granular detail, and then I think we'll wanna bring some proposals to the executive committee. I've also made the county executive aware of this very good problem that we're facing, and he's interested in weighing in as well, so we're gonna move forward in earnest and, acting on that. And making sure that MCIDC is able to meet the moment of need in the community with regard to economic and workforce and community development, given our influx in resources.
Are we thinking of creating new loan programs or products, or are we thinking of just emphasizing the ones we have now more?
Could be, possible.
I think everything's on the table. MCIDC has a greater deal of flexibility with what it can do with its resources than does the sister board, Comida, which is great. And you are all appointed by the county executive, so the county executive also has some interest in weighing in here. And I think, we have really strong community partnerships with our banks, with M&T, which does our banking, and with the other financial institutions that we partner with on the 504. So it's possible we can combine resources and do more. It's possible we could do a loan program, perhaps in partnership maybe with M&T. Barry had mentioned that our counterparts in Ontario County do something similar with Canandaigua National, so that's certainly an option. Maybe there's a rebate program that we can enhance our rebate program. Maybe we can do more in the workforce space. But we really want to figure out what's the right formula and bring some shovel-ready opportunities and recommendations to the executive committee and ultimately the full board.
It's a good problem to have. So, sure. And we'll hopefully we'll figure it out. But, there's a motion, to accept the 2026 operating budget, as recommended by the, Finance Committee.
I'll move it. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. There's an onboard software approval, Anna?
Yes, again, a good problem to have. This board is very busy and active, and we print a lot of paper every month for your review and perusal for these meetings, for committee meetings. And Robin is reaching out to you constantly over email. Yes, and so this suggestion to invest in an actual board engagement, meeting management software platform came from some dialogue on the Comida side. We have a new Comida board chair that's interested in being a little bit more innovative and digital first in terms of how we manage our meetings. Many folks around this table, you probably sit on other boards in the community. There's a software platform called Onboard that exists for this very purpose. There are also other entities that offer similar products. Allison Clark did her homework in kicking the tires on many of these various options and came to the conclusion that Onboard is best. It's the best of all of the options that are out there. It is an online platform by which all of you can log in and have access to any and all documents related to MCIDC board meeting and committee meetings, minutes, loan documents, agendas, etc. There's also, options there for you to engage with staff via the platform. We also are looking to invest in some iPads for all of you, such that you have an actual piece of hardware through which you can access all of these documents on that onboard platform. This is going to come at a cost of, for the software, $5,500 per year. For MCIDC, Comida will also be taking on a similar obligation as we embark on this journey with Comida simultaneously. And then it's an equipment cost of $9,000 for the iPads and some security features through Apple Business Care. And we hope to be on track to implement this by January of 2026. I wanted to open this up for dialogue, questions, feedback. I'm assuming that most of you have a strong degree of comfort with tablets, with working together digitally rather than having to print stacks of paperwork out every month. One cumbersome element to all of this that is somewhat unique to MCIDC is we're printing out the loan application paperwork, the personal financial statements, everything has to go in shredders. This will allow us to, it's a little bit more environmentally friendly and hopefully will require you to throw less in the recycling bin and be a little bit more simple and straightforward for your engagement. So with that, hopefully some of you might be familiar with Onboard. I'm not sure if you are. We're happy to run you through a tutorial at the appropriate time, but would love to entertain any comments, concerns, questions.
Say no more.
Very good. Well, thank you. For the county executive, in an ex officio capacity, I sit on the Rochester Museum and Science Center board, and they utilize Onboard, and it is just seamless and very user friendly, and I think you'll appreciate and enjoy having access to it. Think Salesforce, but for board engagement. Yeah.
So we're gonna dive right into this here. We got a motion to authorize a 3-year contract with Onboard at the cost of $5,500 for the first year, plus the purchase of iPads and Apple Pencils at a cost not to exceed $10,000.
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? No abstentions? Okay. Got a dashboard you wanted to?
The loan dashboard's on page 53 in your packets. We are moving, I want to point out in particular the success of the microloan program portfolio. Year to date, we're at 15 approvals, 8 of which came in the current quarter. And total ARPA funds distributed of that was just for non-MWB microloans. Year to date, we've had 24 approvals, 8 of which came in the current quarter. And you can see that, 39 approvals, 16 of which in the current quarter, and 8 of the 16, so fully 50% in the current quarter were for MWBEs. So some strong metrics on the MWBE front. And then of the $6.8 million in ARPA funds that were allocated to this program, shy of $4.4 million has been distributed to local businesses and through 91 loans. And all of the principal and interest that will come back to MCIDC from the program at the close of 2026 will be locally controlled by MCIDC, not, those are no longer treasury funds after 2026. So some good metrics there, performance measures. And then in our revolving loan fund, we are socializing this more as a resource in our dialogues with businesses as the economy, I think we're in some uncertain times in terms of overall economics with costs escalating. So the needs that are being communicated to us by businesses are evolving, around, you know, some of them are struggling to make ends meet. And so the revolving loan fund through MCIDC, given its flexibility, is increasingly more of an attractive tool in our toolbox. And we'll want to bring more conversations back to this board, more applications as those conversations evolve. And as Greg pointed out earlier, this is our strongest year on record. And since I've been here with the county in 2020, we've not been in such a strong state of health as MCIDC, so the revolving loan fund hasn't been that attractive as a tool, and now it's becoming more robust. So I think that's a good thing. And that's really the long and short of it for the dashboard. Let me know if there are any questions or concerns, and I want to commend staff.
Just a quick, I've forgotten about this, so apologies. So the ARPA funds for the microloans, I mean, it's basically a risk-free loan for us, right? I mean, even if we don't get $1 back, we didn't put $1 out technically of our own money, right? It's basically riskless to us.
Exactly. Right. Thank you for pointing that out. So I think by and large, sorry, go
I was
ahead.
just gonna say, you know, if you talk about a future loan program, one of the things that we talked about is, you know, doing something in the RLF space or whatever we define it as, but to be distinctively different than a micro loan what we currently have, because we don't wanna confuse, right? So what we're saying is like, that's kind of free money or whatever you wanna call it, right? Like, we don't wanna, you know, compete against ourselves.
Yeah.
Right, we have to get these dollars out into the community, so as we look at what those options are, to have a program that is distinctively different than our current micro loan.
Right. And that's where we wanna put our heads together, do some homework, come back to executive committee, come back to the board with some ideas and solutions. But all in all, very good progress, and again, I wanna commend and thank staff for their hard work, and I really wanna thank and commend all of you for your continued engagement and your support of the important work that MCIDC is doing.
So with that, if there's not any, more business, we need a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.